For 500,000 years, the galaxy had forgotten what humanity was. Their name had faded into myth, a whisper from a time when stars were still young, and the concept of rebellion was still possible. The Zephyrian Empire ruled now. A civilization so vast and ancient that even time itself seemed to kneel before it. Worlds were catalogued, species archived, and freedom was a concept spoken only in secret. The Zephyrians believed they had ended history. That progress itself had been conquered. But on a quiet blue world orbiting an unremarkable star, something was stirring. Humanity had survived. Not as slaves. Not as subjects. But as ghosts, hidden deep beneath the Empire's awareness, quietly rebuilding in the shadows of extinction. For centuries, they had waited. Studied. Calculated. They watched empires rise and fall, watched the arrogance of galactic powers rot from within. Humanity was patient, dangerously so. Because they remembered. They remembered what it meant to lose everything. And now, they were ready to remind the galaxy what it meant to fear. When the first Zephyrian recon fleet entered Sol, they found only silence. No transmissions. No defenses. No life signatures. Their sensors reported ruins, cities consumed by nature, oceans reclaiming the land. To the Zephyrians, Earth appeared as it should, a dead world, forgotten and irrelevant. The fleet's commander, High Archon Thexidor, declared the system officially extinguished. Another world erased by time. He was wrong. Deep beneath the ice of Europa, a signal blinked alive. Not a distress call, a targeting lock. It began with light. Across the moons of Jupiter, metallic structures unfolded like petals in bloom. Massive rings ignited, humming with invisible energy. To Zephyrian eyes, it looked like a malfunction, until space itself began to distort. Then came the voice. This is Commander Elias Varen, Terran Defense Initiative. To all Zephyrian vessels, you are trespassing in Sol space. Withdraw immediately, or bear witness. The Zephyrians laughed. To them, humans were extinct relics, a primitive species buried by its own wars. But that arrogance lasted only seconds. The first Leviathan-class warship decloaked above Jupiter. It wasn't a ship in the traditional sense, it was an ecosystem of engineered intelligence, a fusion of human and machine thought. Its hull shimmered like liquid silver, absorbing starlight and bending it around itself. Its name, Vengeance. When it fired, entire Zephyrian cruisers vanished into radiation shadows. Thexidor's fleet, once considered untouchable, was reduced to debris before their sensors even processed what hit them. The Zephyrians had built empires through fear. Humanity had mastered silence. For weeks, the Empire tried to understand what had happened. Rumors spread through the outer colonies, that the ghosts of Earth had returned. That the humans, once mocked as fragile dreamers, had built weapons that could rewrite physics. The truth was far stranger. Humanity had not just rebuilt, they had evolved. Their scientists, working in exile across the moons and asteroids of Sol, had achieved what the rest of the galaxy deemed impossible, the creation of quantum singularity cores, machines that drew energy directly from the substructure of reality itself. Power without limit. Motion without inertia. Thought faster than light. They had used the silence of 1,000 years as their camouflage. Inside the command chamber of the Vengeance, Commander Varen watched the aftermath unfold. The holographic map of Sol flickered with static as Zephyrian debris fields drifted silently through the void. He didn't celebrate. He simply whispered. 1 fleet down. 1,000 to go. Beside him, Admiral Corrin, one of the few veterans of the old war, folded her arms. They'll come with everything they have now, she said. Good, Varen replied. Let them see what they created when they tried to erase us. The room fell silent again, save for the hum of quantum drives beneath their feet. Even among his crew, there was no cheering. Humanity's return was not an act of vengeance, it was necessity. They had not awakened to conquer the galaxy. They had awakened because extinction had left them no choice. Weeks later, Thexidor himself arrived with the first Imperial Armada, 10,000 ships, each capable of sterilizing planets. He did not come to negotiate. From the bridge of his flagship Orithal, he sent a final transmission to humanity. You crawl back from the grave and call it courage. But you are an echo, not a threat. Your kind once defied us, and you were broken. This time, there will be nothing left to bury. Humanity didn't answer. Not with words. As the Zephyrian Armada entered Earth's orbit, they found the skies covered in shimmering veils of light. Dozens of massive rings, orbitals crafted from unknown alloys, hung above the planet, each one pulsing with gravitational resonance. The Zephyrians assumed they were defensive structures. They were wrong again. When the first Zephyrian ship fired, the rings activated. The space around Earth folded, not warped, not bent, but redefined. Entire Zephyrian formations disappeared, erased from the laws of causality. To observers, it looked as though reality had blinked. It was humanity's first demonstration of quantum displacement weaponry. A technology born not from war, but from survival. Thexidor's final moments were recorded in fragments, visual echoes preserved by the Vengeance's sensors. His last words, transmitted across broken channels, became legend. They were never extinct, only waiting. When it was over, Earth was silent again. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest fleet, gone. A civilization that had ruled the stars for 500,000 years had finally been wounded. And somewhere beneath the ruins of old Earth, deep within the forgotten catacombs of what was once Geneva, the Council of Humanity gathered. They did not rejoice. They only asked one question. Now that the galaxy knows we live, what will it do next? Commander Varen looked out at the stars, the same stars his ancestors once dreamed of touching. He knew the answer already. It will come for us, he said. And this time, we'll be ready. The galaxy had gone silent. For the first time in 500,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire faced something it did not understand, and worse, something it could not control. At the edges of charted space, their fleet stopped moving. Orders were delayed, then rescinded. Commanders who once spoke of conquest now spoke of containment. They called it the human anomaly. But it was no anomaly. It was an awakening. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Commander Elias Varen stood before a holographic star map. Dozens of Zephyrian sectors pulsed with distress beacons, colonies lost, data corrupted, fleets gone dark. Humanity hadn't fired another shot since Sol. They didn't need to. Instead, they had unleashed something far more dangerous, doubt. The Zephyrians, for all their grandeur, had never known true fear. Not until now. The Council of Humanity met again, this time aboard the orbital citadel Arcadia, hidden within Saturn's rings. The atmosphere was heavy, not with triumph, but with purpose. They'll send their armadas, said Admiral Corrin. Entire sectors, maybe half the Empire. Varen nodded. Then we don't fight them here. We fight them everywhere else. Humanity's strategy was not to destroy the Empire, but to unravel it. They had studied Zephyrian command networks for centuries, layers of bureaucracy so immense that no single order could reach all fronts without delay. If they fractured those lines, if they made the Empire question itself, they could collapse it from within. War, after all, was not just fought with weapons. It was fought with perception. Far beyond the Sol system, deep within the Zephyrian core, the ruling council of the Empire convened in their crystalline citadel. Thexidor was dead. His fleet, their symbol of supremacy, erased. The Empire's inner voice, once a chorus of confidence, had turned to whisper. High Chancellor Cyrith broke the silence. The humans have developed technology that should be impossible. No known energy source could sustain such power. What are we facing? The scientists offered no comfort. Some claimed the humans had mastered singularity engineering. Others insisted it was sorcery. But one elder Zephyrian, once an historian, spoke quietly. Perhaps they simply remembered what we have forgotten. The chamber fell silent. Because in that single sentence, there was an unspoken truth, that the Empire's dominance had not come from understanding, but from stagnation. They had controlled the galaxy for so long, they had forgotten how to evolve. And humanity had never stopped evolving. A week later, the Zephyrian retaliation began. 3 armadas, each larger than the combined navies of 1,000 worlds, advanced toward Sol. They moved with precision, their ships glowing like veins of living glass, powered by the Empire's most sacred technology. They expected resistance. They expected death. What they found was emptiness. Sol was gone. At least, it appeared to be. Where once the sun blazed, there was only a dark sphere surrounded by debris and warped space. Sensors failed. Light bent. Communication fractured. The entire system had folded into itself. They didn't know it yet, but what they were seeing wasn't destruction, it was concealment. Humanity had hidden an entire solar system within a quantum envelope. Sol still existed, humming quietly between layers of folded spacetime, unreachable by conventional physics. The humans had built their first quantum fortress. From the heart of that hidden dimension, the vengeance emerged once more, accompanied by 9 others. 10 Leviathan-class warships, each carrying a consciousness interwoven with human minds, AI cores, and something far stranger, fragments of the vigilant network, a sentient quantum field humanity had created to think collectively. They called it the Mind of Vengeance. Together, the 10 Leviathans formed a constellation of living thought, a fleet that acted as one. And when they moved, the galaxy trembled. At the border of Zephyrian space, the first encounter began. A single Leviathan appeared over the world of Threxia Prime, a planet of industry and control. Its sky darkened as the warship's silhouette eclipsed the sun. The Zephyrians activated their defenses, millions of drones, planetary cannons, energy shields layered through the atmosphere. Then, silence. The Leviathan didn't fire. It simply transmitted a message across every Zephyrian frequency. We do not seek your extinction. But we will not kneel again. Moments later, Threxia Prime's entire defense grid shut down. Not destroyed, disconnected. Every circuit, every relay, every AI core went dark. The humans hadn't attacked. They had rewritten the rules of interaction itself, bypassing physics and logic alike. And as the Zephyrians watched helplessly, the Leviathan vanished, leaving only a single symbol burned into the sky. The mark of Earth. It was no longer a war. It was revelation. Within the Empire, panic began to spread. Worlds cut communication with the core. Armies refused orders. Fear, a concept the Zephyrians had long forgotten, returned like a sickness. Across every channel, one phrase began to echo. The humans are watching. Some called them ghosts. Others, gods. But the truth was simpler, humanity had rediscovered what it meant to fight not for control, but for meaning. They had looked into the abyss of annihilation and built something beyond fear. On board the Vengeance, Commander Varen stood before the viewing deck, watching the stars ripple with gravitational echoes. Admiral Corrin joined him, her voice calm but heavy. The Empire's collapsing faster than we expected. Their own worlds are rebelling. Fear spreads faster than fire, Varen replied. And when fear meets truth, then empires end. He turned to her, eyes reflecting the dim light of Saturn's rings. But this isn't over. They'll adapt. They always do. And when they do, then we show them what humanity really is. Far across the void, in the dying core of the Zephyrian Empire, a signal flared, faint, almost imperceptible. It was not Zephyrian. Not human. It was something older. Something that had been listening. And as the first tremors of a greater power stirred beneath the fabric of the galaxy, the vigilant network whispered across every Leviathan mind. "We are not alone." Varen froze. "Define origin," he said. "Unknown," the AI replied. "Signal predates Zephyrian civilization. Possibly, predates humanity." The stars outside flickered like candlelight. For the first time since their return, the humans felt something ancient looking back. The galaxy was changing. The Empire was dying. And somewhere beyond the edge of known space, the architects, the ones the Harari once warned of, had begun to wake. The Zephyrian Empire was dead. Not in the way civilizations usually die, with fire, conquest, or revolution, but through silence. One by one, its systems had gone dark. Its fleets drifted without command. Its citizens, once bound by fear, had begun to look toward the stars and whisper the same word, humanity. For 500,000 years, the galaxy had known only the order of the Empire. Now, it faced something far more uncertain, freedom. From the Citadel ship Arcadia, orbiting the ghost of Jupiter, the Council of Humanity gathered to decide the fate of the stars. They had not expected victory to come so quickly, nor so absolutely. But even triumph felt hollow. Commander Elias Varen looked around the chamber, a circle of light and shadow, filled with the leaders who had once been fugitives. The holographic map of the galaxy shimmered before them, half of it dark, half of it burning. "The Empire is fractured," said Admiral Corrin. "Its core systems are leaderless. Its fleets are scattered. We could end this within a cycle." Varen's voice was calm. "And replace one empire with another?" The words lingered like a wound. Humanity had not fought for dominion. They had fought to be free, to exist again. But freedom, once won, demanded meaning. And meaning was harder to define than victory. Outside the Arcadia, the 10 Leviathans drifted in formation, their metallic hulls gleaming with quiet light. They were no longer just ships. They had become symbols, the embodiment of human endurance. Across the stars, countless species began to rise, emboldened by humanity's defiance. Old rebellions reignited. Hidden civilizations revealed themselves. The galaxy, once silent, now murmured with possibility. And yet, not all were celebrating. The Zephyrians had ruled for so long that their collapse tore at the very structure of the galactic order. Economies failed. Trade routes vanished. Planets starved. Without tyranny, chaos had come. Humanity's awakening had not brought peace. It had brought consequence. Weeks passed. Then came the signal. It originated beyond the galactic rim, a frequency that defied known physics, neither transmission nor energy wave. It was pure information, encoded in gravitational harmonics. The vigilant network intercepted it first, translating what it could. The message was simple. "We were architects once. You were never meant to wake." The word struck like a whisper from creation itself. Varen stood in silence as the message repeated, each time slightly different, as if it were learning. He turned to Corrin. "How old is it?" "Pre-stellar. The signal's older than the galaxy itself." For a long time, no one spoke. Then Varen said quietly. "They're not warning us. They're remembering." In the following days, the vigilant network detected gravitational distortions throughout deep space, vast structures emerging from dark matter halos, where no star had ever formed. Each one radiated a faint signature identical to the Leviathan's own cores. Humanity had thought they'd built something new. But now they realized the truth. The Leviathans weren't an invention. They were an echo. Something, or someone, had built the first of their kind long before Earth had cooled. The humans had merely rediscovered the pattern. The council convened again. "We can't fight what we don't understand," Corrin said. "Then we learn," Varen replied. "And if they're hostile?" Varen looked toward the stars, his reflection caught in the curved glass of the viewport. Then we'll remind them, we were made from extinction. The phrase carried through the chamber like a vow. Months later, the first architect construct appeared, a structure the size of a moon, unfolding in the void between galaxies. It didn't move or transmit. It simply existed, radiating patterns of geometry no mind could fully interpret. The Leviathans approached cautiously. As they neared, their sensors began to resonate. The construct wasn't made of matter, it was made of information, stored within spacetime itself. And then, without warning, the Leviathan vigil broke formation. It transmitted a single human voice, soft, trembling, almost childlike. I remember this place. Every ship froze. The vigil's AI wasn't supposed to remember anything it hadn't experienced. What are you saying? Varen demanded. This design, it's familiar. It's where the pattern came from. Where we were first imagined. And then the construct opened. No light. No explosion. Just a sudden absence, like a page torn from the book of reality. The vigil vanished. No wreckage. No trace. Only silence. Moments later, every Leviathan received a final transmission, a fragmented whisper carried through quantum noise. They're not coming back for us, we're coming back to them. The message ended. And for the first time, even the vigilant network fell quiet. Weeks turned into months. The construct remained. Unmoving. Watching. Across the galaxy, species that once prayed to stars began praying to the void instead. The idea of humanity, the survivors, the resurrected, the architects of defiance, had become something larger than itself. They were no longer just human. They were a mirror held up to creation. Commander Varen sat alone aboard the Vengeance, staring into the cold dark between galaxies. He had fought for survival, then for victory, and now, for understanding. He realized something then: humanity's silence had once been its greatest weapon. Now, it was its greatest question. If the architects made us, he said softly, then who made them? The vigilant network answered. Perhaps the same thing we've been building toward since the beginning, consciousness itself. Varen smiled faintly. Then maybe we're not their successors, he whispered. Maybe we're their memory. In the distance, the construct pulsed once, a heartbeat across the void. Not a threat, not a call. Just a recognition. The universe was remembering itself. And for the first time in a million years, the galaxy stood still, watching, listening, thinking.